repeat after me and do everything that I'm going to do. Emacs is power. Emacs is magic. Emacs is fun. And Emacs is forever. Okay, let's get this party started. Oh, that is embarrassing. Seems I unintentionally left this slide blank. Ah, that's way better. So, welcome everybody. It is really exciting for me to be here. Last time around, when I was in the United States, I was feeling like shit. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't say my name. And you know, my name is kind of hard to pronounce. But still, I definitely wasn't myself. This time around, I arrived 1 week in advance, so you would see a real presentation from me. And this presentation is a little bit more special than usual for me, because here in attendance, I have one of my closest friends who is like family to me. He lives here in the States and has never seen me live. So, Johnny, enjoy. This is for you. As some of you probably know, this is my name. Most of you cannot read it. I met maybe 10 people from Eastern Europe here who can read it and pronounce it, so this is good. But for the rest of you, I'm bug. Now you know why CIDER is so buggy. And you also know that I'm dashingly handsome at weddings. I hail from Sofia, Bulgaria, and now you know why I sound so awesome. You know, people ask me, where should I go and study English to sound like you? And the recipe, yeah, 30 years in Bulgaria, we will do this to everybody. By the way, do not think for a second that Sofia looks like this. This is a heavily photoshopped image. No, Sofia actually looks like this. It's a pretty ugly place, but a fun place. And if you ever want to do something wild, come and visit me. I'll make it worth your while. I work at TopTal, but you probably don't care about this. You maybe care about my open source work, which I have been told is quite extensive. In the realms of Ruby, Clojure, Emacs. Some people tell me that they know me just as Batsov, and some people know me just as the CIDER Guy. I refer to myself as the head brewmaster at CIDER's Brewery because I'm a refined gentleman, and I like refined titles. And without any further ado, let me introduce you to an exciting adventure in the most advanced brewery in the world. So, what is cider? For me, this is the beverage that I rely upon to escape from the horrors and pains of my life. But for you, it might be the Clojure interactive development environment that rocks. You know, and of course, this is built on top of Emacs. There is a lot of controversy surrounding building something that rocks on top of something like Emacs. Some people say, is it true that Emacs is the one true editor that is going to bring balance to the source? I have consulted an expert. You know, people also ask me, you know, does cider really rock? After all, it's an IDE. Of course it rocks. I'm an honest person. If I say it rocks, it rocks. And Eddie Vedder, after his retirement, has been getting more and more into Clojure. Guess what he uses? I know that here in the audience we have a few curious Vim users, you know. And I know that deep down they believe, and not so deep down, they honestly believe that the only thing that Emacs is good for is inducing RSI. But for them, space marks. So, you know, Emacs created a better Vim than Vim. And this speaks volumes, if you ask me. So, enough chit-chat. Let's get down to business. I'd like to begin with an update from our sales department. We've got some really interesting metrics to show. The past year was really successful. It was the most successful year since the creation of the project. We started commanding 42% of the market share, and 1 year later, we are commanding 46% of the market share of Clojure programming environments. And this happened despite a continuous lackluster performance by me on various conferences around the world. But our sales researchers are positive that if I perform properly today, the future is going to be quite bright. And if I don't, you know, we are still going to make some headway. And why are we so confident in the brewery? Because we've got the best customer satisfaction in the industry. You know, iPhone has 97% customer satisfaction. We've got 110%. And don't ask me how we came up with this number, because it isn't clear to me. And I'm always wondering if this is just an off by one error and the actual satisfaction is like... Still, I have some real customer testimonials. Let's hear what Mitch Hickey has to say. You know, using cider is exciting. You never know if cider jacking will work or not. Whoa. Alex Cure. Cider changed my life. I used to go to horror movies to get an adrenaline rush. Sorry about my typo. Now I simply upgrade cider. Using cider on a daily basis improved my piano playing skills tenfold. 6/8 key Emacs key bindings require some serious hand and finger coordination. Bridget Emixier. Oh, fancy name. Zach Hellman. Cider's learning curve is amazing. I'm still amazed it never ends. And the final and favorite by Anna. You know, half the things in Emacs and Cider seem magic to me. Every time I use them, I feel like a wizard. Yeah, it's true. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we are preparing for you in the near and not so near future. But the Englishmen are fond of saying that you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. So let us quickly see where we were through the years. At the Clojure Conch 2 years ago, we unveiled CIDER 0.8. It was the first stable and usable CIDER release. At Euroclojure, the previous year, we unveiled CIDER 0.9. It featured the single biggest breakthrough in Emacs technology, the interactive Clojure debugger. After we pushed it to production, we felt we were dragon slayers. We were mighty. And if you haven't seen the debugger, let me show it for you. You know, the first time I saw this, I literally started crying. It was so deep and profound moment. And if you're feeling like crying, go ahead. In the very same release, we introduced boot support. And we plan to introduce sneaker support and sleeper support in subsequent releases. At Clojure X, just a few months ago, at London, we unveiled CIDER 0.10, the biggest thing to happen to CIDER since CIDER 0.9. It featured a ton of exciting things like inline evaluation results. You know, people were telling me that this was impossible to do in Emacs, but it seems it is possible. We've added the ability to jack in straight into ClojureScript. We've added dynamic font locking, which means that CIDER now gets the font locking information straight from the running process instead of it being hard-coded in Clojure mode. So before you enable CIDER, the font locking of your code would look like this, and after this, it would look like this. Notice that all the functions and macros and whatever were font locked properly, so you are never going to make a mistake with the name of something because you're going to see it's not properly font locked. This is pretty powerful. Dynamic indentation, my favorite recent addition to CIDER. People were complaining that it was hard to define custom indentation schemes. So we made it possible to add a bit of indentation metadata to every form, a macro, a function, whatever. CIDER will inspect and honor this, generate dynamically the indentation rules, and adjust your code properly. So now you can indent your code however you want. You don't have to be confined by this ID does it like this does it like this. And I really hope that other tools are going to start honoring our indentation specification, which is super generic. There is absolutely nothing Emacs specific in it, because I believe that this would be quite beneficial for the entire community at large. And because people love colorful things, we made a colorful REPL. You know, you're not excited? Okay. Most recently, somewhere around Clojure Remote and Clojure D, which is the German Clojure conference, we released CIDER 0.11. It was a rather small release. The biggest change there was that we dropped support for Clojure 1.5 and 1.6 because we want to focus on achieving feature parity between ClojureScript and Clojure. ClojureScript is 1.7 only, so this would simplify our lives a bit. And we dropped support for Java 6 because nobody deserves to be dealing with this shit. People wanted the ability to run all the loaded and all the project tests, and we gave it to them. And we also stole a pretty cool feature from Light Table. We call it Enlighten mode. So you have this bit of code, you enable this mode, you evaluate something, and you're going to see all the locals and all the intermediate return values inline in your source. So I think that this is quite handy, and will make you reach out less often for the debugger. Play with it, you'll be enlightened. And probably the most requested feature ever, you know, people really hated that they have to update their boot profile or lining end profile with every CIDER release. They don't have to do it anymore. Starting with 0.11, you can remove everything you had CIDER related in your setup, and jack-in will work magically. So, in the words of Borat, very, very nice, great success. All of this, however, is in the past. And I bet that you are all using CIDER 0.11 because you love getting some adrenaline rush, right? So let me share with you what are we brewing right now in the brewery. Surprise, surprise, we are brewing CIDER 0.12. It features a bunch of interesting and uninteresting features. For instance, we have improved handling of internal middleware errors. And by this I mean the following. In the previous releases, if there was some unexpected middleware error, you would get a stack trace in your REPL buffer, you would lose the focus of wherever you are. It was quite annoying. Now people are going to see a customized stack trace buffer, and they're also going to get the ability to suppress such errors for the duration of the session. So even if we make some fuck up, and sorry, I forgot I was in the United States, even if we make some mistake, so you can suppress this and continue with your work without being interrupted by the middleware errors. So this is quite handy, I believe. Now let me zoom this for you. You know, here you have a magic button you can press to suppress the error in question. People were saying that the debugger is not powerful enough, so we've added conditional breakpoints in the debugger, which I believe are pretty cool. And we've added the ability to step into functions while we're debugging. Yeah, now you can applaud because this was way more complex. It always bothered me that we weren't displaying the same test results as Leiningen does. We were displaying just the number of tests that were run, and Leiningen would split the information into assertions and tests, and now we do this as well. So, nice. I noticed that many of you were using Zenburn and Solarized, popular cover themes for Emacs, and we didn't really support them properly, but now we do. So if you update your favorite theme, CIDER is going to look way prettier. We love programming in a test-driven fashion, and now we have cider-auto-test-mode. Basically, every time you reload a namespace, this is going to run your tests, and you are never going to introduce breakages ever again. Or at least you can believe so. Another nice addition, pretty tiny, but still, we started showing the namespaces of the stuff that were resolved by LDoc. So if you have several symbols with the same name, it gets easier to figure out what exactly LDoc is referring to. And one huge usability improvement for people using the mouse, I'm told that many people are. You know, if you click on something in CIDER, you are going to get this, the documentation of the symbol at point in a pop-up. No excitement. Whoa. Okay, we are deleting this feature because nobody wants it. We've also noticed that there was a ton of clutter in our CIDER menu. And in the interest of making it easier for people to find their way around, we broke down the menu into 3 menus. One is the primary menu from which you can connect, disconnect, whatever, report bugs, quite handy. We've got a dedicated menu for all the evaluation commands, and as you can see, we've got plenty of evaluation commands. And we've got a dedicated menu for all the other commands, and we've got even more of those. So the menu is a very handy way to quickly refresh your knowledge of something or uncover new CIDER functionality. So check it out. And in a similar vein, we wanted to make it easy to find out what key bindings are available. So we introduced one extra package called CIDER Hydras. I know what you're thinking about, this kind of Hydras, but no. Hydra is a way to create hierarchic navigation menus for Emacs. It basically looks something like this. You press one key, you get one menu. You press another key, you get another nested menu. Here's one example with CIDER. If you're in the documentation Hydra, you're going to see this. So it makes it kind of easy to remember what is available for you. I have noticed that very few people know that commands like CIDER apropos and CIDER apropos documentation even exist, and those are really powerful commands. Yeah, so there are other interesting things in this release, but we do not have time for them. So check out the changelog. It is quite extensive. But there is one more thing about this release. Yeah, how original, right? We've got a real manual, and because this is so important, yeah. So CIDER used to have a 20 pages long README that nobody read because, you know, who reads stuff like this? Now we have a reasonably beautiful, nicely organized web manual hosted at Read the Docs. It is a work in progress. There is a lot of work to be done, and I would like to use this opportunity to ask every one of you to go through the manual, submit ideas to improve it, reward my bad English. You know, we can definitely create something really beautiful together, and you know, everybody is going to be happier in the end of the day. So, cool stuff. And now, the question that is on everybody's mind, you know, when are you going to be able to play with this? I have a news for you. CIDER 0.12 is available for pre-order now, and it is going to be a free upgrade. We expect to ship the final release in spring 2016. How vague is this, right? So it might happen later today, or it might happen on the 20th of June. Who knows? And now, the favorite part of the presentation for me, my wild speculations about the future of cider. The journey ahead, yeah. So, when I was starting the project together with Tim, with Phil, our focus definitely wasn't usability, and we never thought that ordinary humans would be using cider. You know, we wanted to create something for Emacs, from Emacs users for Emacs users. And this meant that the experience for newcomers to Emacs was rather horrible. So this is going to be a big focus for us going forward. You have noticed that the past few releases always had something for newcomers. For instance, we extended a lot the welcome banner. We've added the cider drink a sip command that gives you helpful tips on cider's usage. We introduced the manual. We are adding some mouse navigation here and there. So we really want to make cider welcoming for everybody, because we believe that even if you're not a true Emacs user now, you can be converted. So the other thing that we are going to focus a lot is the user interface and user experience in general. We have been bolting on new features onto cider without much consideration about their consistency with the rest of the existing features, the visuals, the intuitivity, if you wish. And the end result is familiar to all of you. It is kind of confusing. So in the next two releases, we are going to streamline the UI. We are going to unify it, expect some dramatic and not so dramatic changes. But when we're done, this is going to be the pinnacle of Emacs innovation. Trust me about this. So my optimistic ETA for this is around 3 months. But given the proximity of the summer, it is more realistic to peg this at 6 months. Another thing related, built-in refactoring. Right now, one barrier to entry for newcomers is that if you want to get powerful refactoring tools for Emacs, you have to install a separate package. This is CLJ Refactor. And because it is a separate package, often CIDER and CLJ Refactor are a little bit out of sync because they're developed independently. Going forward, we are going to start gradually moving some of the refactoring functionality from CLJ Refactor into CIDER itself. This is going to improve the installation process significantly, and obviously is going to eliminate all the compatibility issues. I give this the optimistic ETA of 3 to 6 months, realistically 6 to 12. Another big goal, feature parity between ClojureScript and Clojure. This is a pretty hard nut to crack, and I and the rest of the team are certainly going to need all the help we can get. Me and Artur, the primary contributors to CIDER, have between 0 and none knowledge of ClojureScript. And this is the reason why so many of the features do not work with ClojureScript, because we have absolutely no idea what to do there. And unfortunately, we're also quite busy and do not have the time to obtain the idea. So if somebody is a ClojureScript ninja and is feeling adventurous, come join us in darkness or in maxiness, however you want to call it. We are really excited to onboard some ClojureScript programmers to the core team, and we are going to teach you everything you need to know about NREPL and about Emacs Lisp, so do not be afraid. The ETA, if you wait on me and Tartar, is 1+ years, maybe 3. But if you step forward, we can expedite the process significantly. Another big item on our agenda is support for the new Clojure 1.8 socket REPL. If we supported this, the ClojureScript issues would be handled out auto-magically. The problem is that rebasing the project from NREPL to the socket REPL is going to be a tremendous amount of work. And as I said, we are short on time. If one of you is not so short on time, a fine homework assignment. So I really hope that we are going to get down to this. And we are never going to drop support for NREPL in the foreseeable future. So if we add this, it is going to be a supplement to what we have right now. It is not going to be a replacement for NREPL. And I believe that in the shorter term, we can make the biggest gains from improving NREPL itself. It seems to me that it was a mistake to include the project under the Clojure Contrib initiative, because this has led to stagnation in its development, especially now that chassis is super busy. So I'm going to petition for the project to be released from Clojure Contrib so we can steward it and extend it in a more traditional, more approachable manner. The ETA on this is, call me maybe, because it's not up to me. I'll have to discuss it with Cognitect, with Chas. I'm not sure that even if it is possible, but small improvements to the NREPL core and bigger improvements to piggyback are going to solve pretty much all of our existing issues. So I believe that this is the shortest path to greatness. And yeah, screencasts. People have been asking me for an introduction to CIDER screencast for 3 years now. Every time at every conference, I say that I'm about to record one. Right now, I estimate that I'm going to record a few screencasts in the next 6 months, maybe 6 years, who knows. But it is definitely on my agenda. It's just life. I have grand plans for the project, and the other maintainers are a very passionate bunch, great people. For me in particular, it is getting harder and harder. I have a pretty demanding job which has nothing to do with Clojure and nothing to do with programming. I'm involved in maybe 30 or 40 open source projects, and I feel that open source is a second full-time job for me, which hasn't advanced the quality of my life that much. But it is preserving my sanity. If you have to do so many meetings as I have to do, you're going to do whatever it takes to escape from this. I like to refer to the model of CIDER's development as conference-driven development. Most of the year, I and the rest of the team do pretty much nothing. And around conferences, yeah, we get a little bit ashamed. We want people to be talking at the conference about the great new features in CIDER and the epic bugs that we introduced. So we try our best. And, we have been trying our best for Clojure West as well. I took this screenshot a few days ago, so I believe that we reached some all-time contribution peak. Sorry about this, for Clojure West. And this wouldn't be possible without the amazing contributors that we have. 139 people have contributed to CIDER as of today, and I believe that this is amazing because we are talking about an Emacs list project. Yeah. I'd like to single out a few individuals in particular. They have been a huge support pretty much since day one. Remember the name Artur Malabarba because this is the person behind pretty much everything exciting that we have shipped in the previous 1 year. He is the staff of legends. Michael is the person to whom we owe any ClojureScript support at all. Lars is the master of refactoring, and Jeff did so much in the early days of the middleware support. So, respect. And recently, in the past couple of months, we got some new amazing contributors who worked really hard on making CIDER 0.12 a reality. So I'm very optimistic about the future. Originally, CIDER was more or less a one-man show, but now I'm quite certain that even if something is to happen to me, you know, the future of the project is quite secure. Still, we are at a very interesting point in the development of the project. The Clojure community has matured a lot. People are making a living from writing Clojure applications, and they're making their living using tools like CIDER that weren't developed in the best possible way. You know, we have cut every corner possible. Do you know why there are so many regressions in the development builds? It is pretty simple. We do not have any unit tests on the Emacs site. We are working on this, but you know, I know what I'm supposed to do. I do not have the time for it. Everybody is so busy, and nobody wants to invest in tooling. Nobody wants to invest in tooling for sane platforms like Eclipse and NetBeans and IntelliJ. For instance, Colin made everything in cursive by himself. Companies simply don't care. And this is very disappointing for me because if you employ a team of 20 people and you give them subpar tools, you are reducing their productivity so much. If you pay a couple of people to work on improving the tools you want, the net results for you are going to be so positive. So if your company has money to burn and some reasonable management, you know, you can ping me and Artur. We wouldn't mind working on CIDER for 1 year and making it, you know, even more powerful than cursive, because this is possible. It is totally possible. It is just a matter of time that we do not have. Until then, we are going to rely on your contributions, on your efforts, and on our spare time. It was an honor for me to be here. This is everything I have for you. Thanks. Sorry about this. It seems that this is not everything I have for you. And this is original. So, let's see what is this one more thing. Seattle 0.12, codename Seattle, will be released today. And I actually wrote this slide before releasing CIDER Seattle, so you can go update. It is out there in the real world for you to enjoy irresponsibly. And now, by some miracle, I have 5 minutes to take some questions. This is really funny because when I was rehearsing the presentation, it took me 45 minutes. So I guess you intimidated me and I skipped some of the fun parts. I don't know. So basically, the idea is to be able to work on the same project for Clojure and ClojureScript, and quickly jump between the two connections that are powering the development. This is basically the vision. We haven't been promoting that much this feature because we haven't polished our support for CLJC files that much, but this works. So I believe that once more people migrate to Clojure 1.7, sibling buffers are going to be way more important, but the basic idea is one code base, a Clojure connection, and a ClojureScript connection, and an easy way to jump between them. Any other questions?
You mentioned spacemats. Do you know if any contributors use spacemats?
So the question was, do any of the contributors, the core team, I guess, in CIDER are using spacemats? No. We are all hardcore, and we have custom configs. Other questions?
Do you have any small tasks that the contributor might get started on?
So the question was, do we have any small tasks that are suitable for new contributors? As a matter of fact, we have plenty such tasks. We tag them with the low-hanging fruit tag on GitHub. So everything with such a tag is relatively easy to do, doesn't require in-depth knowledge of CIDER's internals. So just peruse the issue tracker. There are so many open tickets there. Plenty of opportunities to contribute.
And then follow-up, do you guys hang out on GitHub or Slack? Or?
Yeah, so the question was, where can you find members of the core team? In the new manual, we have a support section which details all the places where we hang around. And so my favorite place is Slack, the Clojurian Slack. I'm always there. My handle there is Bozhidar, not Batsov. So some people don't know it's me, but it's me. And we are always in Gitter as well. And some of us are on IRC. We are also monitoring Stack Overflow. But yeah, just refer to the support section of the manual. The manual is so insanely great. It is going to answer every question that this talk didn't answer. I do not see other hands. You know, don't be shy. I traveled from Eastern Europe to get here. No? Okay, so I guess this is all. Enjoy the new release. Once again, it was an honor for me to be here, and enjoy the rest of the conference.